Delta, the world's second-largest airline, sent its final 747 to an Arizona boneyard this week, marking another chapter in the slow death of the jumbo jet. Last month United, Delta's U.S. rival, waved goodbye to its final 747 with a farewell flight from San Francisco to Honolulu, recreating the route of its first 747 service in 1970. Not one U.S. carrier now flies the iconic Boeing aircraft, which, after almost 50 years of tireless service, is gradually disappearing from our skies. Even its biggest customer, British Airways, is phasing it out of its fleet. It currently has 36 jumbo jets, according to the website airfleets.net, but a further 34 have already been placed in storage, and it has said the model will be gone from its hangars by 2024. Demand for the 747, which has been tweaked and upgraded many times since its first flight in 1969, has dried up. No new orders were received last year, and it is expected that Boeing will be forced to call time on the jumbo jet before long. Since 1969, Boeing has produced more than 1,500 747s. But around two-thirds of these have now been scrapped, written off, or placed in storage at one of the world's aircraft graveyards. Where are all the Boeing 747s that leaves 512 still active, according to airfleets.net? Besides BA, the biggest users of the 747 include a clutch of venerable carriers. KLM, the world's oldest airline, has 17, but that number is falling fast. Last month we reported on the final flight of one of its jumbos, registration PHBFR, which was greeted on the runway by a herd of deer. Lufthansa, founded in 1953, has 32, Cathay Pacific, which dates back to 1946, has 20, and Qantas, formed in 1920, has 9. New airlines still operating the 747 include Virgin Atlantic 8, Singapore Airlines 7 and Qatar Airways 2. Airlines who own the most Boeing 747s, however, some of the above, such as Singapore and Cathay Pacific, only use the jumbo for cargo flights rather than passenger services. Beyond that, it's largely the preserve of cargo-only airlines and obscure carriers from far-flung corners of the globe. Of the former, Cargolux, from Luxembourg, has 23, Atlas Air, UPS, Kalita Air and Polar Air Cargo, all based in the US, have 30, 18, 17 and 13, respectively. Air Bridge Cargo, headquartered in Moscow, has 15. Among the latter are Mayan Air, Caspian Airlines and Sahar Airlines, all from Iran, Supana Airlines, from China, and TerraAvia, from Moldova. They are also used by a couple of militaries, namely the US Air Force and the Iran Air Force, while they also seem to be popular with Middle Eastern rulers. Bahrain Royal Flight has 3, the state of Kuwait has 1, and 1 is owned by the estate of Prince Sultan bin Abdulaziz, the Saudi Crown Prince who died in 2011. Boeing 747 size comparison. Where's the first 747? The first 747 flight took place in February 1969, with test pilots Jack Waddell and Brian Wiggle at the controls, and ushered in a new era of air travel. When it took off, it was twice the size of its nearest competitor. The aircraft, RA001, can be seen at Seattle's Museum of Flight. The first passenger flight, Pan Am, introduced the paying public to the jumbo jet on January 22, 1970. But that first flight, from New York to Heathrow, wasn't a roaring success. The widebody's 352 passengers and 20 crew members sat on the runway for 2 hours, waiting to take off from Kennedy Airport, before Captain Robert Weeks noticed a malfunction in the fore-engine and decided to head back to the gate, explains Tony Reichart, writing for Airspace magazine. The passengers debunked a group of protesters, who had loudly complained about the 747's noise and pollution, taunted them with "we told you so," and were treated to dinner in the terminal, while Pan Am rustled up a replacement jet. 20 of the original passengers bailed out right there, choosing to miss out on the historic first flight. The stand-in 747, hastily christened Young America, the name of the original airplane, finally took off at 1:52 a.m., 27 minutes after it was supposed to have landed in London. Pan Am was the first airline to fly the jumbo Credit Alami, the oldest 747 still in service. The Iran Air Force possesses an active 48-year-old 747. It began life with TWA before being converted by Boeing in 1975 and delivered to its new owner a year later. The oldest 747 still flying ordinary punters is EPSHB, owned by Iran's Sahar Airlines. Caspian Airlines, its local rival, has a 39-year-old jumbo still in service. The majority of BAS active jumbos are far newer. The oldest GBNLK was delivered in 1990, the newest, GBYGG, in 1999. BA has more 747s than any other airline. Credit, Getty. Where do unwanted 747s go? With airlines keen to keep their fleets as modern and fuel-efficient as possible, and air forces eager to take advantage of new technology, the shelf life of a plane is shorter than you'd think. Where do they go when they are retired? The chances are they will end up at one of the world's vast aircraft graveyards. Where planes go to die, extraordinary aircraft graveyards. There are dozens of facilities around the world where retired planes are kept in storage or to have their parts removed and reused or sold. The first such graveyards, or boneyards in U.S. parlance, were established after the Second World War, when militaries found themselves with huge aircraft surpluses. The largest is the 309th Aerospace Maintenance and Regeneration Group at the Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, Arizona, where almost 5,000 have been left to gather dust. Pinal Air Park, another U.S. boneyard. Credit, Alamy. Aircraft graveyards can also be found beyond U.S. shores, in Alice Springs Airport, Northern Territory, Australia, Manis International Airport in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, Teruel Airport in Aragon, Spain, and Tarbes Lourdes Piranes Airport in France. Why were so many 747s written off more often than not? Because they crashed. More than 50 aircraft, or about 1 in 30 of all produced, were damaged beyond repair. They include N736PA, flown by Pan Am, and PHBUF, flown by KLM. The two jumbos colliding on the runway at Tenerife Airport in 1977 in what was the deadliest air disaster of all time. 583 people were killed. Follow this link to read a harrowing account of the accident. The aftermath of the Tenerife disaster. Jumbo jet crashes over the years have seen 3,722 perish, the most recent being Turkish Airlines Flight 6491, a cargo service owned and operated by ACT Airlines that crashed in January 2017, killing 4 on board and 35 on the ground. Pan Am Flight 103, which blew up over Lockerbie in 1988, was a 747. Other notable 747s. Baltic, dubbed the world's worst airline because it was founded 28 years ago but has never flown a paying passenger, has one in storage. The world's worst airline. Virgin Galactic has one in storage, too, presumably to move rocket parts as and when required. NASA has a jumbo in active service, which it bought from United Airlines in 1986. Pan Am owned it before that. The just-retired Space Shuttle Endeavour, mounted on NASA's Shuttle Carrier 747, lands at Edwards Air Force Base, California, the 20th of September 2012. And so too does the Las Vegas Sands Casino and Hotel Company, presumably to fly those high rollers in from around the world. The firm also owns a Lockheed L-1011, a Boeing 767, and a clutch of Boeing business jets and Gulf aircraft. It is thought they all have gambling tables on board.